Henry Schachter was born in Berlin in 1939. In his words, not a good time to bring a baby into the world. His parents managed to escape to Brussels, where they lived in relative normality for 8 months until Germany invaded Belgium. They then went into hiding, like Anne Frank, and found a Catholic family to take care of their young son. In May 1944, Henry's parents were caught by the Gestapo and deported to Auschwitz. Neither survived. His father was shot on a death march. His mother died of typhus 3 days before the liberation of Bergen-Belsen. Henry was reunited with other family members after the war and came to live in England.
Joseph Stalin once said, "The death of one child is a tragedy. The death of 1,000,000 is a statistic." Not so. 1,000,000 is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Shortly after my birth, my parents fled to my grandfather's home in Radom in northern Poland, only, of course, to be chased by the Germans again in September when they invaded Poland. Miraculously, and I can't go into it now, they managed to escape during the war to Brussels. Once again, a few months later, the Nazis caught up with them and we were stuck in Brussels. Like many Jews there, we were left alone for a while he was dealing with France, which gave us an opportunity to go into hiding with the help of many thousands of Christians. It couldn't have been done without them. My mother, however, couldn't stand the claustrophobic conditions, so she decided to live openly and rely on their false papers. However, she realized that this would endanger me, as they could just be picked up any time, and there was no option but to give me away. Fortunately, there was a young lady called Andrée Guren, she was barely 20 herself, who was working with about a dozen underground members, mostly women, who took Jewish children and distributed them into Christian families all over Brussels. She had a little infant school, and I remember going in there one day as Ariel Schachter and coming out 3 days later as Henri Dufay. New name, new family, new identity card, new ration book, new life. I carried on seeing my parents very, very occasionally, and the last time I saw my mother was on my 5th birthday. She had somehow managed to find ingredients for a cake and had brought it round. When she left, I was so upset. I ran to the top of the stairs and sat there, refusing to come down. I watched her put her coat on and her scarf, wave me goodbye, and close the door behind her. 5 weeks later, they were found, arrested, and taken to Auschwitz on the penultimate convoy. They survived there 7 months as slave laborers before being transported, my mother to Bergen-Belsen, my father to Flossenburg on a death march. If it hadn't been for these Christian people who risked their own lives, not just their own lives, but those of their families as well, to save Jewish children, different race, different creed, I wouldn't be here today, and nor would 3,000 Belgian Jews, Belgian children, who were saved like that by this small group of people and the thousands of people who took Jewish children in. That way, I didn't become and another of the 1.5 million children who were slaughtered. Today on Yom HaShoah, I invite you to join me in remembering these brave people who saved the lives of all these children during those terrible years. On a happier note, last year, André Guren celebrated her 90th birthday, surrounded by many of those children who she had actually saved. In the words of author Ellen Montgomery, nothing is really lost to us so long as we remember it.